Maybe we should start answering some questions in here. I have 6 questions in here. There's another one. Okay, Jenny. Okay. So, the first question, it says, even though we work to know ourselves through meditation, what about losing oneself in a group or through dancing, that is to say. Losing yourself through music and in a group of people can also bring bliss. How is this bliss different or the same? Is it different or the same? Well, it says you're involved in aerobic dance, you're involved in a dance, and you're involved in some music, and you lose yourself. You relax. You don't think of any worries. You have no anxiety. When you're listening to the music, you have no worries, you have no anxieties, and there's absolutely no other consequences other than that. And you say you lose yourself. I think what you mean by losing yourself is you got relaxed. You're not tense. You're free from all this mental anxiety and depressions. That's great. That's good. How is it different from? Is it different from the kind of joy in the meditation? It's different because you still have attachment, but not attachment. If you're attached to a bad thing, of course, that's good, no good. You're attached to alcoholic drinking. You're attached to luxury perfume, for example. You're attached to luxury food or dress or cars or material. That's no good. But sometimes you want to listen to music. You attach to music, but not frantically, attached. If you're crazy about it, that could be a problem too. For example, if you listen to music, the kind of music that you like at home, your brother hates it, your sister hates it, and because you want to be carried away, you want to lose yourself, you want to relax, that's the way you relax. You don't care about others. You just get losing yourself. You really lose yourself. You lose your cooperation with others. You lose your care with others. You just think about yourself because you want to listen to the music, and because you can achieve what you call bliss in that listening. If you start to be selfishly not caring for other people, is that right? It's not right either. So, attachment, if that kind of attachment is free from giving encumbrances or troubles to others, that's the first requirement. You want to listen to music that's not hurting anybody. However, some people get relaxed by watching certain movies, or they feel the excitement having inside by watching certain movies. They are also not hurting other people, but they're hurting their nature. For example, they're watching restricted movies and they find fun in doing it. And that's not right, because they're building up bad karma inside the nature. And if they keep on doing that, they would carry their conceptualization into action, and that's how they commit sexual misconduct. Now, if you lose yourself in certain kind of music, you have to watch out what that music will lead you to. Some music will lead you to a realm that's not too pleasurable. Some music will lead you to imagination that is not too pleasurable. You could be imagining about something when you're listening to that kind of music. And some people like to listen to soft music, some boisterous music. And some people like to listen to nostalgic music. And some people who were born in the 60s and 50s, in the 50s, they like to listen to, for example, I don't know, Nat King Cole, or Frank Sinatra, or you name it, Johnny Mathis, all those old nostalgic singers, and they were listening to it, they were thinking of the old past. And then they attached to the past because of the music. A little bit of attachment to the past remembrances of the past, especially of your forefathers' past good deeds to you, or remembrances of your mom, of your dad, of your grandfathers who have done good deeds to you, that kind of remembrance, good. That is good past reminiscence. However, if you're listening to certain music that instigate your remembrances of bad deeds, of child abuse, that's no good. So you can see, listening to music have so many facets you have to listen. You have to care about. Not just say, when I listen to music, I lose myself, and therefore that's the same as meditation bliss. No, you are just stereotyping. You're simplifying something that is so complicated. Because listening to music, you're attaching to something material. You're not freeing yourself from material. And who knows what that material will lead you to. The material may lead you to good things, to bad things, to indifferent things. That's the unknown. It will lead you to the unknown. So if you ask me, is it good to listen to music or to be involved in aerobic dancing? Some people they come for meditation on Saturday, on Sunday they go dancing. And depends on what kind of dances. If you're independently performing the exercise, it could be okay. But if that kind of dances involve body touch, that may instigate something else. And also when you're in the aerobic class, there's men and women, men looking at good-looking girls and girls looking at good-looking boys and all these things, all this mixture of feelings and all that, what would that lead to? Relationship. What that relationship will end up in? I don't know. A myriad of things can happen. So it has the good and bad sides to it. However, if you can control yourself in the aerobic exercise, if you can control yourself in music, if you really care about others when you're listening to the music, why not? And if you really want to compare it to the meditation bliss, to justify yourself in listening to the music you want, I think you are egoistic on your view. My brothers and my sister always blame me for listening to rock and roll, and I will, even the Venerable said it's okay. No, I didn't say it's okay. You really have to consider others' interest. And I can go on and on to answer this question. There's no need. Well, use your own judgment. Care for others. If music can lead you to a realm of relaxation, that's good. Especially some music, they call it the meditation music, where they have soft nature, music about nature, music that encourage you to nurture nature, to love nature, or music that encourage you to be a better person. That's kind of music. A music that can conjure up your patriotic feelings. That kind of music is good, but don't get carried away. That's enough for this question, I guess. Already 10 minutes. Next question. We spend our lives acquiring knowledge. It seems ironic about knowledge would cause us trouble. We have to let it go in order to achieve nirvana? Yeah, another question that is good. Another good question. We acquire knowledge. Give you an example. We acquired knowledge of science and E equal to mc squared, relativity. And because of this scientific knowledge, we know that we can create atomic bombs. And because of the creation of atomic bombs, we have this Hiroshima bombing, which killed millions of people. So the knowledge that you acquire has the pros and cons in it. If you use the knowledge intelligently, then it could be serving mankind. If you're using the knowledge unintelligently or harmfully, you're hurting mankind. You created an atomic bomb to be dropped into Hiroshima. I remember many years ago, that was when I was in my secondary school, and when I was in Hong Kong, we studied Chinese, we didn't study English. And I went to Temple Street. There's a street called Temple Street, and on one of the stores, there's a few English books, and I pick up one book, and it says, The Bombing of Hiroshima. I don't know what the bombing of Hiroshima. I picked up the book and I started to read this. It contains so much vocabulary that I don't understand. When I turned to the first page, a second page, I couldn't continue. And 2 years later, I read it again and I understand more. And I got some information from there. The bombing of Hiroshima is not just killing on spot the millions of people, but it has far-reaching effects into the future. The nuclear energy that stays behind, that ruins nature, that ruins the species of mankind, is far-reaching. So the knowledge that you acquire could be good, could be bad. So I'm giving it, so then they asked me the question, Venerable, how come you always give the example that is bad? I'll give you a good example, good knowledge. Good knowledge, you keep the good knowledge, and you continue to promote the good knowledge. What is this good knowledge? Knowledge of Buddhism is another kind of knowledge. About Buddhism, of the Buddha's teaching, you know the Buddha's teaching, knowledge, you know it. And with the Buddha's teaching, you help mankind. You improve the welfare of people. But finally, the Buddha said, once you get ashore, get rid of the raft. When you want to go to Victoria, you go Nanaimo ferry, your destination is Victoria. When your ship reaches Victoria, are you going to stay on the ship? You're going to leave it. Get rid of it. Get rid of the knowledge and get onto the realm of comprehensive knowledge. Get to the realm of, I don't know, extreme wisdom. Even the knowledge of Buddhism has to let go, not to say ordinary knowledge. Sometimes knowledge would help to sustain your egoistic view. Would only help to sustain your obstinacy. Have you seen any arguments in a debate have you been in any debate? In a debate, there's the pros and there's the two teams. And they all stand for their own view. And sometimes none of the views are correct. But they still want to sustain it because they want to win. Look at political parties in the parliament. I'm in that party and I'm protecting party's interest. I know I have knowledge of my party. You have knowledge of your party. I protect my knowledge, you protect your knowledge. I protect my knowledge, I want to get into power. When I get into power, I promote my knowledge. My knowledge could be wrong. My knowledge about capitalism, my knowledge about communism, my knowledge about socialism, my knowledge about anything in the world, I protect my knowledge at the expense of yours. Is that right? So I say, knowledge you have to get rid of. Even Buddhism, you have to get it off finally, not to say knowledge. Not to say your knowledge of biology, your knowledge of physics, your knowledge of medicine, or you name it. But if your knowledge is helping people, that's good knowledge. Your knowledge is ruining people, that's bad knowledge. Bad knowledge you really have to get rid of. But sometimes good and bad is relative. One good knowledge is bad, is good to one society, it may be bad to another society. So they vary. They could be misused. So you have to apply judgment onto it. You have to apply wisdom onto the use of your knowledge. That's what we call prajna. Good use of knowledge is called prajna. Remember the prajna? Prajna is to how to use good knowledge. how to steer and gear your knowledge to the right path. That's the Buddhist teaching. So don't say that we don't want knowledge. Good knowledge is good. Good medical knowledge help a lot of patients. So why don't we keep that knowledge? But some people could misuse that knowledge. So we have, it's a temporary knowledge that we have to be careful about. There's no one answer to this question. There's a Chinese saying, we can't use just one bamboo pole to sweep off everybody in the raft. You don't apply one understanding to apply to everybody. Knowledge is good, knowledge is no good. All relative. Use your judgment, use your wisdom. That's why in the 6 paramitas, we have what? We have charity, morality, endurance, and diligence, and meditation. And the 6th is what? Wisdom. You need wisdom to guide your meditation knowledge. You need wisdom to guide your morality knowledge. You need wisdom to guide your charity knowledge. You need wisdom to guide your endurance knowledge. Prajna. Okay, that's all for that. Next, it appears that a simpleton has the upper hand achieving nirvana since he's unable to think much or possess or he is not pressing for worldly possessions. A simpleton. I remember I saw a movie, it's called A Bouquet for Charlie. Have you seen that? Many years ago, there was a movie, many years ago, in the 50s or 60s. It's about a man who had a sickness, and he went to see a doctor, and the doctor said, that man is an intelligent man. And the doctor said, in 3 years, you're going to be a simpleton. You lose your intelligence. And that's what it is. That's your sickness. And within these 3 years, he's trying to do the best. He's trying to render his best love to his wife, to his children, to the community, and all that. And at the 3rd year, he turned into a simpleton. Is it good to be turned into a simpleton? If you're a simpleton, how can you render your love, your responsibility, your love, your compassion to the society, your responsibility to fulfill your responsibility in the society? If you're a simpleton, there's many things you can't do. You prefer to be a simpleton just for the sake of having an upper hand on nirvana. To get nirvana, you cannot be a simpleton. If you're a simpleton, you cannot even apply your wisdom. So don't try to be a simpleton. A simpleton cannot think properly. So I guess you're just looking for argument. You don't want to be a simpleton. A simpleton is no good. I don't think you'll be a simpleton when some food is presented to you. Which one do you pick? The best, the most delicious one. You won't be a simpleton. No one is a simpleton in here. So, a simpleton has an upper hand achieving nirvana. Well, why don't we say like this? If you are away from luxuries, if you don't attach to luxuries, you don't attach to the contemporary way of life, you want your life to be simple, and you want to be economical to you, you are frugal, you live on frugality, even though you have the money, but you like the money to spend somewhere else to help others, whereas while you are leading a simple life. Not a simpleton in terms of the brain. You don't want to be simple. You don't want to be a simpleton in terms of your own brain. You want to be a simpleton in the fulfillment of your life, in your luxuries. You want to simplify it. You don't need the best car. You don't need the best house. You don't need all that. But you want to contribute that to the society. You lead a simple life. Many multimillionaires like that nowadays, more and more. I won't say many, but some. They live a luxurious life and they find out that that's no good. I want to be simple. So they wind up living in a village and they donate all their money out. And they find more happy leading a simple life. I think that's what you should mean by simplicity. Simplicity is beauty. Luxury is not. Simplicity is beauty. So don't try to be a simpleton in terms of your brain. Try to be a simpleton in terms of enjoyment of luxuries. Simplify your life. You don't need a Rolls Royce. A Volkswagen will do. You don't need a $6 million house, a mansion. A nice apartment nearby will do, close to the temple, so that you can come to the temple on Saturday to have meditation. So where some people here, they live very close to the temple, that's the simple life. You can afford a mansion, but you don't want a mansion. You would prefer to donate $5 million to some mission. Simplicity in terms of life, but not in terms of intelligence. That's it for this question. Next, if we are to rid ourselves of all desire all the way to the point of no Dharma, then are we to rid ourselves of our desire to attain enlightenment nirvana as well? Then are we to rid ourselves of our desire to attain? Of course you have to. We must not have desires. I put this desire in quotations. You need good desire. You need to desire to be the Buddha. You need desire to do good. You need the desire to fulfill all your responsibilities. It's just bad desire that you don't want. How do you define desire? Desire is something that you want to achieve. If you don't have an objective, how can you do anything? A desire is where you would like to reach, to have. So you still need an objective. My objective is to be able to help others. My objective is to do voluntary work in the hospitals. My objective is to stay away from bad deeds and do good deeds. You need desire. If you don't have desire, you cannot be the Buddha. If you don't desire to be the Buddha, how can you be the Buddha? If you don't desire to be a good person, how can you be a good person? You've got to have that objective in mind, your mission. You have to have your mission in mind. I think you interpret desire in a bad way. You think all desires are bad? No, some desires are good. You have a point to point out? No, I thought you have a point to say. Okay, some desires, it's only bad desires that you don't want. You need a desire to be born into the Pure Land. If you don't desire to be born in the Pure Land, how can you go to the Pure Land? You have to desire to go to. If you want to come to Canada, you have to desire to go to Canada. Then you come. You need the desire. And you need the desire to attain enlightenment. And you need to achieve it. It's a good desire. Next question. It was mentioned that there should be no judgment in the mind. Yet, deciding whether an action is good or bad requires active judgment. What should be the guidelines for these judgments? It was mentioned that there should be no judgment in the mind. No, there should be judgment in the mind. Did I say no judgment? I said no discrimination in the mind. Your judgment, you have judgment, but that judgment is being influenced by your background. That judgment is being influenced by your habitual thinking. If my background is in this way, I will judge in that way. If my background is this way, I will judge in this way. So my judgment very much depends on my education, my background, my family background, and in some cases, the judgment that I have also is influenced by my past life karma. So you got to watch your judgment. And if you don't have the right base for your judgment, you tend to do the wrong thing. So that's why when we're studying Buddhism, we need the 3 foundations of Buddhism. What is this? Precepts, meditation, and wisdom. Sometimes you don't know whether we should do this or not. If your judgment is wrong, then you did the wrong thing. So you need to know what is these things that I should do and these things I shouldn't do. And the Buddha, in the process of his 49 years of teaching, he arrived at some precepts, something that you should watch out for in your living. He'd arrive at those things because different people have different judgment. How did the Buddha teach you what kind of judgment is right, what kind of judgment is wrong? Then the Buddha, gathering all the information within the 49 years, and he called it the canon of precepts, the Vinaya. And then how did he arrive at those judgments? By cases. Here is this monk who made that mistake. Okay, let's write it down. This monk, being influenced by this kind of circumstances, make this kind of mistake. So this is rule number 1. When we have this kind of circumstances, we should not make this kinds of mistakes. If we have this mistake, we should have this repentance. Okay, case number 2, this monk, because of that circumstances, that environments, make that kind of error, but we shouldn't make it, and let's put it down. So all the 49 years the Buddha has made for the bhikshus, for the male monks, 350 precepts. And for the female, 348 precepts. And if you follow those precepts, you will make as close to a good judgment as you can. Because what is contained in these precepts? You must not kill, you must not lie, you must be courteous, you must not slander other people, you must not have flattery language, you must not be cursing people. All these would bind you, you gear your way towards good judgment. And those are the set judgment, the established judgment. How about the unset? Or we can say these are the official judgment. There's also the unofficial judgment. What is this unofficial judgment? The unofficial judgment is the general concept of life. What is the general concept of life? You got to have wisdom. You got to care for others, not specifically point by point, but the general concept, the general judgment, general concept to help you to make a judgment, specific concept to help you make a judgment. If you follow the Buddha's precepts, you will probably, because the Buddha's, within the 49 years, when they make this kind of precepts, it's sort of comprehensive, generally cover many things. But since there are so many objects, so many circumstances, there's no way that you can write millions of precepts out. You already have identified the most difficult ones. I mean the most obvious ones. So judgment, there should be no judgment. Yes, there must be judgment, but you've got to have the right judgment. How do you know what judgment you're right? You study the Buddha's Vinaya. You study the general sutras. That's why we're studying the commentaries, we're studying the sutras. We find out what's the good judgment. But then you say, how do we know the judgment of the Buddha is right? There's some people who like that. How do we know the judgment of the Buddha is right? We know the judgment, we know certain judgment is right or wrong. First, we look at it from the contemporary world's perspective. Is it hurting others or not hurting others? Is it beneficial or unbeneficial? That's the first criteria. If your judgment is rendered hurting others, that's not the right judgment for sure. I don't think anybody here would argue hurting others is the right judgment. Well, there's so many flexibilities, so many things to talk about in judgment. And I don't mean to say that my answer right now is open-end. It requires books to be written about this. It requires a lot of analysis. It requires a lot of wisdom to analyze this. Anyway, that's it for this. Does sitting with bare feet facing towards the Buddha statues show disrespect? If you, in your mind, that you are sitting in front of the Buddha with a bare feet, you worry about being disrespect, why do you still do it? Because you think barefoot is disrespectful, then you don't do it. On the other hand, if you think, well, in Thailand, in Burma, in some of the tropical countries, when they meditate, they don't put on shoes or socks. They're barefoot. They don't put on socks. And I don't find this is disrespectful. And I find that I just want to be in line with the Theravada school, and that's not disrespectful. But in Canada, I don't think anybody would go barefoot when you go outside. Maybe in the summer, yes, they do. But in Southeast Asia, the monks go barefoot. And it wouldn't be disrespectful. But when they enter the house, they have a bucket of water to wash their feet. Especially put in front of the house. When they enter the house, when they enter into the temple, they wash their feet before they enter the temple. So there's a tradition. If your tradition is not a tradition of always go barefoot, why do you do that in front of the Buddha in here? If you have that feeling of disrespectfulness, then don't do it. If you don't have that feeling, then you can do it. There's no one answer to this. Yes?
Disrespect is a state of mind, not a physical condition.
Yeah, exactly, yes. Good point. It's a state of mind. It's not a physical condition. If your socks are extremely dirty, don't put them on. You better be barefoot. You see, it depends on circumstances. Keep your feet dry. If really, this is something that you really have to think about. If you enter into the temple, if you are barefoot, you may spread germs in your feet. Especially when we're in Hong Kong, we call it the Hong Kong feet. Then you spread all the germs around. But then you say, oh no, I don't want to put in my socks. That's good, because you are not spreading the germs around. That's why we don't use carpet upstairs. We use marbles. But because if you use carpet, you take your shoes off, and then you walk on the carpet, a lot of spreading of germs from your feet. And some people's feet, they smell worse than others. Then you make the carpet smelly. Okay, that's it. Venerable, can the temple organize cooking lessons so that those interested can learn how to cook vegetarian dishes temple style? That's a good suggestion. But for those who are interested in cooking, then we'll get a Ming. But then why don't you enlist them? Put your names on a list of paper. If you have more than 10 people who are interested, then maybe they organize a cooking class for you. But first of all, we need to have people who are interested, because time has to be spent in preparing for it. And also there may be a cost involved, because you have to buy material. You have to buy vegetables. You have to buy utensils for cooking. It's not just talking about it. You need someone to organize it. This is a course. This is a course that needs an organizer. Can you organize it, or can you be one of the organizers to help to make these things happen? If you do, then why don't you put in a piece of paper? You hand it to me, and I hand it to Ming. If you have good number of people, and you don't mind chipping in money to buy the raw materials for the cooking, it involves some money. You have to buy the vegetables, but if you have a group of people, then everybody contribute a little bit, so it's not too expensive. So it all depends on how you organize. Okay, last question, but not least. A friend of mine who has been coming here for many years told me when he has to make an important decision, he always asks Buddha what to do by shaking the bamboo sticks in one of the hall here, and he always got the right answer. What is your opinion about this? Oh yeah, it happened. It happened in many cases like that. There was a woman who was pregnant, and they had 2 girls, and the man, being a Chinese who wants the hereditary trait to pass on from one generation to the other, would like a boy, because he already had 2 girls, and he doesn't want a 3rd daughter. He wants a boy. And then this lady was pregnant, and she was worrying. Well, what happened if I have another girl? Then something's going to be bad. My husband won't be happy. So she came for shaking the oracle, we call it, shaking the bamboo stick. We call it the oracle, and asked, what is inside? Is it a boy or a girl? But before that, he already had checked it out from ultrasonic. The doctor said it was a girl, and he has been crying for days, and he wanted a confirmation whether the doctor was right that it was a girl. The doctor said it was a girl, so he came in and he shook the oracle and all that, and the bamboo sticks comes out, and I don't know the number, and then he present the number to a pui or whoever in there, and then they find out the chip, and they read the English explanations, and it says it's a boy. And then the lady said, I'm sure my doctor is right. How can my doctor be wrong and this oracle right? But she feels happy. And the final result is there was a boy. So this oracle is even more exact in decision making than the doctor's words. But why? When she was shaking the oracle in front of the Bodhisattva, the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, maybe she was so involved in it. He had so much devotion, sincerity. He wanted an answer. Maybe he wanted help. And maybe he make a promise, she make a vow. If I had this, I know that this is going to be a girl, but can there be any miracle that make it into a boy? If it is a boy, I will do certain number of good deeds to repay the Bodhisattva. He's trying to talk the Bodhisattva into helping her to get a boy. And I don't know if it is a Bodhisattva or some other gods. There are a lot of gods, a lot of devas in the temple or in anywhere. And these devas, sometimes they listen to people and they like to fulfill people's wishes. And they are protecting Buddhism too. They're called Buddhism protectors. Now, if they know that if they grant your wish, you're going to go by the Buddha's teaching. In the future, you're going to be a good person. You're going to follow the righteous path. And just by changing it to a boy, maybe to the God, not the Buddha, not the Bodhisattva, could be just a God, it's an easy matter. So he just changed it. Not the Buddha. Maybe the Buddha didn't even have to bother. Or the Bodhisattva didn't even have to bother. It's just the gods. There's so many guardian angels, so many devas who are around helping people when you're in trouble. We call them, in North America, we call them the guardian angels. In the Chinese language, we call them devas, or in the Indian language, devas. And they're helping people too. And they're also the evils, the devils. It works both ways. They're devils who are hurting people, ghosts hurting people. But if you're always chanting, if you have the righteous mind, if you're always chanting the mantra, you're following the right path, there will be more devas surrounding you and protecting you than devils. So make sure that you chant every day. You prostrate every day. You're building up your energy every day. Why is prostrating and chanting words would give you the energy? Well, that requires a lot of lecturing to tell you. Why? That requires a lot of time, and we're running out today. So I stop at this point. Okay.